Yo, what's going on, One Punch Man world community? Now, let's get down to brass tacks. A lot of people have been lying to a lot of people. There's been so much misinformation in the air about the game and everything else like that that it's just been ridiculous. The Chinese players need to stop like chatting with the global players, saying like trolling them, telling them the game's shutting down, and the global players need to stop clowning on the Chinese players because they don't have a version out yet. Now, all this transgression comes from the higher ups in China, or whoever is in charge of Chinese. What do you call it? Um, or what do you call it? Who's in charge of the actual publishing of this game specifically? And as you can see, this is the Billy website. We're going to be going over some translated dialogue from this, but there's a lot of people who really want this game to come out. There's no version of the Chinese game out. There's no what do you call it? If anyone gives you a link, don't click it because if it has anything to do with the Chinese version of One Punch Man World, there's no version of the game out for One Punch Man World in China. There's no version of any type of sneaks that have to do with One Punch Man World besides the ones that I've given out already because I get them firsthand. Freaking. And, I just want to make this clear. So let's go ahead and dip into this. So there are a crap ton of people pre registered, and we have the translation, I think, right here for about it's called reservations to them. But if we look over here, you'll see that it has like almost 200,000 people that have to actually make accounts to really reserve for the game. So unlike, pre-registrations, which you could do off of a whim, you have to literally log all the way in and do all this extra stuff in order to actually reserve a spot in the game. I don't know how the Chinese version works like that, but yeah. So let's go ahead and dip into the brass tacks. So misinformation number one: the studio's not down or dead or canceled. The studio that's making the game is based in Japan, and only half their people had to get fired because there was an incident during COVID where a lot of people weren't doing their job. And that was something that is old news, old information. They're back and they're still running the game and they're still updating the game. And it's obvious because we've seen the leaks, we've seen the data mines. There's a lot of stuff still coming out. We're just not going to see it till June 1st. All right, that was number one. Two, the game for China is not out. Sadly, it's not going to be out. No one knows the actual result of the end date. That no one knows the date of when it's actually going to release. Sadly, I'm sorry, Chinese players. I'm sorry for you guys who really want the game in China. I'm sorry, but right now, someone is stopping and halting the whole Chinese what do you call it game, and it's not releasing yet. And I'm guessing that's going to be like Dokkan for America and Japan, where Japan didn't release it for 6 months, and then finally America got to join Dokkan with their global version of the game. So maybe it's that case, but that would suck because that means that they would be behind us. And, a lot of Chinese players are not having it. And let's go ahead and talk about it. As you can see over here in the comments, we'll just go over here. When will it be released? When will it be released? They're all just clowning each other. Let's be honest, Already Dead Studio has been disbanded. That's not what happened. Freaking obviously, the Chinese people will clown other Chinese gamers. They just do that. They've been clowning. The only reason I'm not holding back against anybody in the situation is that everyone was clowning everyone for the last 3 days. Even even the freaking what do you call it? One Punch Man World Discord moderators were clowning everybody. Even the freaking Discord. I mean, the moderators and the Reddit were clowning everybody. Everyone kept throwing around this misinformation that the game was dying, that the game was done, and that freaking everyone was moving on to doing other things. Well, freaking people were just clowning. That was it. None of this information's true. The game hasn't even released for China yet. And even though the Chinese players are very upset about that, there's nothing we can do about that besides just waiting for the game's actual release. And once it actually releases, then we'll get a real gauge on how fast progression is really going to go for the studio after that. Because right now it's all about the Chinese release. It's all about setting that up. It's all about City J. It's not finished yet. We're not done. And freaking, everything's got to happen one way or another. And, at the end of the day, we're just going to have to wait. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys have any questions or comments down below, just let me know down below. I think I've pretty much covered every single dumb question someone just asked me about for the past few days. Besides maybe some other questions freaking them saying that the game, nope, that actually doesn't count. So I think we're actually done. Thank you and goodbye.